In last week's video, we were talking about the command palette and adding your own custom entries to it, which could be a great way to get commands under your fingertips quickly and easily if you don't use them very frequently. As a part of that, we also talked about turning on command logging to figure out what commands you actually want to add there in the first place. Now, in the comments of that video, someone asked a question about whether there's a way to figure out how to use commands using a similar sort of logging technology. And this is sort of possible. Let's talk about that. Hello fellow Sublime Text fanatics, Odan Nerder, and welcome to this week's video where we're going to be answering a question that was asked in the comment section of a previous video on the channel, which has to do with whether or not it's possible to get Sublime to actually tell you usage information for any particular command. Sort of similar to how you can turn on command logging to see what commands are actually being executed. Now, unfortunately, in Core Sublime, the answer to this question is no. Sublime doesn't have anything like that that's built in that could allow you to do something like that. However, we can sort of do something similar to that by way of a plugin. Before we get into that, though, we should also point out that this is only going to work for commands that are implemented in plugins. This is any command that's implemented by a package that you've installed, and most commands that ship with Sublime Text by default. There are, however, some commands in Sublime that are implemented in the core, in the actual application core, and not in a plugin. Those, unfortunately, won't show up in the plugin that we're about to demonstrate here. But this is still very handy nonetheless. We also want to point out that the plugin, as seen here, will only work in Sublime Text 4. It won't work in Sublime Text 3. So if you're interested in this, you're not already using Sublime Text 4, maybe this is a reason to check it out. Don't forget, you can always use a portable version to play around with it and see if you like it before you decide if you want to continue. The plugin we're actually talking about today implements this command, browse command list, and we implemented this in live stream number 76, which is linked down in the description of the video if you want a little bit more behind the scenes on how this thing works and how we put it together in the first place. And when you choose it, it will show you a list of all commands implemented by plugins across all packages in Sublime Text, and including commands that ship with Sublime Text itself. This gives you a fair bit of information. There's an indication on whether this is an application command, text command, or window command, if you care and need to know about that sort of thing, the actual name of the command, the package and plugin file inside that package in which it was actually implemented, and what we're dealing with here, the arguments to the command itself, which is, as you can see, very similar to what you would get if you turned on command logging. Now, the quality of the argument list that you see here depends on the way that the author of the plugin implemented it. Most times, it's going to be exactly what you want to see. Occasionally, it might be a little bit more esoteric. Unfortunately, there's nothing we can do about that. And if we choose to one of these items from the list, say for example the one that's implementing this command itself, the plugin will automatically open the appropriate file and position you at the place where that command is installed. Now, as seen here, if you do this and look at the source for a particular command, you might actually find some documentation about that command, how it's supposed to work, what it's supposed to do, and so on. Sadly, not all plugin developers would provide this level of documentation or any documentation. Certainly, the commands that ship with Sublime usually don't have this sort of documentation in them. Nevertheless, being able to browse the list of commands and being able to see the arguments that it takes is very handy indeed. Now, the code for this plugin is available in this gist we're looking at right now. This gist is linked down in the description of the video if you want to follow along with this. And the gist contains 3 files. You should download all 3 of these before you continue on. I've already done that here. Going into Sublime, we're going to use the Preferences Browse Packages command, either from the menu or from the command palette, to open the Packages folder. And in here, you want to create a folder that you're going to use to contain this new package that you're installing. I called mine Command Browser. Go inside of there and put all 3 of the files that you downloaded into it. Here, I'm just going to paste those in. Now, I'm going to copy the plugin because we're going to need to do one more thing with this. We're going to go up 1 folder level, and we're going to create a new folder here with the same name as the one we just created, but with a 33 on the end. So here, that's Command Browser 33. Inside of this folder, we're going to paste only the plugin file, not the 2 other files. The reason for that is this plugin needs to run in both of the plugin hosts that are available in Sublime Text 4. But that is all we need to do. So if we go back into Sublime, this command is now available to us in the command palette, and we are ready to go. Now, as we can see, this is very easy to install, very handy not only for browsing commands and their arguments, but also being able to peek at the implementation of these commands. So If you've ever wondered how plugins work behind the scenes, gain yourself a little bit more knowledge about how Sublime works, maybe even create some plugins for yourself, this could be a great learning opportunity for that as well. And if that interests you, you may be interested in the Plugin 101 playlist linked down in the description. It'll help turn you into package and plugin author for Sublime Text. That's all I have for this video. Remember, if you found this useful or helpful, please use those buttons down below to show your support. And until the next video, this is ODAT Nerd asking you to please have a sublime day.